about, again, the stressors that people are feeling in this new reality of COVID-19. I don't even know, how long have we been into this now? Is it 7 weeks, 6 weeks? Do you know?
I know, it feels like forever.
It feels like forever. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm, again, super interested in speaking with you, as I think, I'm going to guess, are you busier? Are your phones ringing a little bit more?
Yeah, the first few weeks, there was nothing. Like, it was quite bizarre, but I think people like myself who are trying to figure out, how are you parenting? How are you adjusting your work schedules? We're just kind of dealing with life. And then after that sort of first 2-week pause, it has just been an onslaught, not necessarily people that are wanting to take action, but people that are looking for information, people that have questions. So it's been super busy for sure for us.
That's good. I mean, it's always good to have business right now, but
Yeah.
I would imagine, again, with the heightened stressors of working from home, kids being home, all the other responsibilities that everyone had every day, now it's heightened, tenfold. So I'm going to go back because I didn't really explain. So Modern Divorce is a mediation company in Calgary, and Beth is one of the lead mediators there. And so again, just wanting to chat about, how has your business been affected in COVID? So you had mentioned that things are starting to get a little bit more traction for you guys. Were you guys already doing video conferencing beforehand?
No. And, there was sort of a shift for online mediation a number of years ago, but primarily around resolving consumer disputes or like kind of business governmental. But a lot of the family piece, which is sort of what both Sue and myself, our designation is under, has really kind of focused on that high touch, face to face, because it really is kind of more of a buy-in. People are potentially more invested.
Yeah.
So it really was something that we, had posted on the website that it was an option. And I've done some rural clients where that was the only way that they were going to be able to engage. But for sure, it was not standard for us in our practice. And I think it's something too where it's just for a lot of people something that they haven't necessarily dealt with before. And so
dogs happy or not happy?
Yeah, the dogs are in the room.
Very not happy.
Yeah, can you get them? Sorry.
All good. Don't worry. This is our new reality.
Yeah, this is the new normal.
This is the new normal, right? I mean,
yeah.
My kids walk in half the time, so it's totally fine. So have you noticed, though, with the calls that you've gotten so far and that you've had to do video conferencing with, has the reception been pretty good with those clients?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, because I dove into doing a lot of research around what is this going to mean for us? What are some, kind of professional obligations? What else do we need to have in our consents? What does this mean for insurance? Just to ensure that we were entering into it ethically, because it was sort of a new kind of medium for us. And interestingly, like, we have a lot of people, obviously, that are parents. Like, we have divorcing clients that don't have children, but for sure the majority do.
Right.
And so it creates an opportunity for them where they're not having to pay for childcare. Even in sort of a general setting, like, I still have clients that are working, so they're not having to leave work. So there's a lot of people just popping into their car on lunch break, going on their phone or iPad. So I think as people become more acclimated to accessing sort of professional services this way, I think there really is a benefit to clients of doing it. And I think for us, from a business perspective, we'll look to shifting an amount of our operations online, just to sort of streamline that efficiency for people.
Totally.
And really, like, looking at kind of bringing the costs down potentially, because you don't have a massive leasehold, you're not, you know what I mean? So it's just allows us to be a bit more responsive and sensitive to those financial situations right now.
Yeah, because if you're, if they're coming to see you, there's childcare, there's time off work, there's all those kind of things. So that just adds to the height of frustration and stress, right? Which I mean, when they
and for some people too, like I think there is an ability to maybe self-advocate or kind of take a position, and it disengages from the power dynamic that maybe you're used to this pattern with this person, and so you become quiet, or you
right.
you kind of enter into those roles, especially if you're face to face. So I think it gives people a bit of a sense of safety and a little bit of autonomy around communicating. And the funny thing that I've noticed too is it keeps people kind of on their best behavior. We want people to have authentic interactions for sure, because we need to go through emotions to get to a resolution. But it's funny, something about going on Zoom or Uber conference or whatever, people are almost in like their business persona. So there's probably not as many F-bombs, I've noticed, for sure, doing it online versus doing it face-to-face. So that's the upside also.
Well, that's probably also good, because then people aren't getting, the hot buttons aren't getting pushed, right? By that. So that's super interesting. I like that. Well, I just like that it streamlines it. I think everyone is starting to see that the virtual world has become something that's going to be effective in the business. I know for us, this is going to be great for us to, let's do a quick Zoom call. Let's get the basic information. You can see me, I can see you, and we can move forward, right? So that's good that you guys are seeing that as well. Now, for people that are struggling, we had talked about this a little bit earlier today. How are you finding, or what can they do? Like, can they contact you just to kind of go, like, figure out what steps to take? To kind of, I guess for myself, I mean, I'm not perfect. My husband is pretty patient. Well, I'd say extremely patient. So, I mean, I remember when we went through our 7-year kind of issue, I remember calling a lawyer going, I'm done. But I didn't even know what to do. So if someone calls you, can they come in and talk to you guys and kind of figure out if it's something that they even want to do?
Yeah, I think a big piece of our kind of philosophy behind our practice, in which we're quite aligned, having both been through divorce ourselves, is really ensuring that we are first and foremost a resource for people. And then really just providing, a gentle alternative for people, and something where people are really feeling empowered, because it's a very fear-provoking transition to go through. It can be pretty scary. And there's a lot of anxiety kind of around that. And I think truly still in our society, a lot of guilt and shame around, the fact that I'm struggling in a relationship, and should I put my hand up, or does it make me a failure? And so I think just us normalizing all of those feelings, and kind of validating that, and then providing the information in a very neutral way.
Perfect.
And it's not like it's just a consultation phone call.
Yeah.
And it really kind of, I think, allows people to sort of exhale, kind of take a little bit of stock, understand if they want to move forward, what the options are, what that would look like. So it kind of demystifies the whole system for them.
Yeah.
Because it can be very overwhelming to navigate, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I think it really is just kind of that, connection with people that call in. And then if it ends up being something that they want to pursue down the road, then we're more than happy to help them with that. But I have had families that, call in, and it really is, just kind of a bit of a reality check of, well, what would this look like? Well, how would this happen?
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, it's kind of the great unknown. And I think it allows people to make a more informed decision around, where are they really at? Once you start talking to a mediator or to a lawyer, it doesn't mean that you're on the path to divorce.
Yeah.
It just means you're maybe doing a little bit of a self-check around, what's kind of going on with the relationship. And there really is kind of a commitment by people who work in the field to really help people along through it. But also, like, one of the questions that we ask at intake is, it's all about reconciliation. Have you tried counseling? What resources have you sought? Was this something that was a shock to you? Is this something that was a long time coming?
Yeah.
Because you really need to, like, I mean, there's things that happen in life, and it doesn't mean that people need to throw in the towel, but so it's really a matter of, assisting people in terms of evaluating and being intentional rather than just kind of reacting and then, kind of drawing a line in the sand and starting an action that they then feel difficult to kind of back out of. So we're a very no pressure resource, I think I would say, for couples and families. And a lot of couples will come together and say, like, what do we need to know, right? We've looked online. We think we have a bit of an idea, but sort of a bit of a reality check.
Yeah.
So
no, and I love that, you guys are pro family, right? Like, you want to make it win-win. You've got kids involved, or you don't, but your families are joined. You loved each other at one stage. So again, try to make it work, or be amicable with saying, like I said, peace out, have a good one, and let's not make it too complicated.
Yeah. And I think really just kind of getting people through kind of like, what does it mean for, like, it's a huge change of identity. It's a change of standard of living for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of, kind of acclimating to, it's going to look different, but that doesn't mean it's going to be worse, right? Oftentimes on the other side, it's significantly better. So it's sort of the most difficult, ugly part is just figuring out those details. And often if people are, fearful of looking at the numbers or fearful of, raising a concern that they have, they're sort of stuck in the muck for months or years.
Yeah.
And so they have, information, unbiased information with a neutral guide to kind of help them along the path. You get out of the ugly so much quicker.
Yeah.
And then it really doesn't, that kind of level of just and stress and conflict. Like, it gets, it can get ugly or messy for people, but then they redirect, get on track, and sort of continue to the other side where it can be more functional than their relationship has been for a long time, right? Parents or as friends.
Do you find that some people or some couples may come to you and they think they want a divorce, and then after speaking with you, like, I feel like you guys would be almost as effective as going to a couples therapist, like, based on just from talking to you now and the conversations that we've had. Do a lot of people go, you know what? No, actually, we are kind of happy. We talked about that issue that was, the elephant in the room, and thanks so much. We're good for now. Like, do you find that?
I think there are people that come in just, a lot of what causes breakdown in any relationship, whether it's employment, parent-child, marital, for sure, is kind of a lack of communication. And sometimes that's sort of something that we've inherited from our family of origin, or just, those soft skills that really, until maybe our kids' generation haven't really been, kind of examined and focused on in terms of teaching.
Yeah.
So I think even being able to kind of have those conversations in a safe, non-judgmental environment. And as mediators, we, not only model, but also are kind of teaching active listening, being non-judgmental, focusing on, what is your need rather than your want. Yeah. So it kind of takes away all the bullshit. Like, if you people can say, well, you never, and I want, and you always, and it's like, but so is there an exception to that? Like, can you characterize what does that look like when that's happening? And so how does that make you feel? And so I think you do see kind of some of those aha moments for people.
Cool.
And it's really just sort of assisting people to kind of find their truth and their reality and their best way forward, because we're really, not invested in terms of a specific outcome, because we're retained by, both parties to act as a neutral kind of Yoda master, or, really to the process. Right. And so, so I think it really kind of gets them to sort of view it as us against the problem versus me against you.
Right.
And even just that shift in terms of, looking at sort of what the issues are, I think can be, quite impactful for people.
Yeah. I mean, again, all it takes is one little shift, one little aha to change the whole dynamic, right? I mean, again, not perfect. So I know from my own experience, it was like a simple, wow, look at that. Okay, I don't hate you anymore.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of people that we see have maybe been through other paths, like potentially they've already been in litigation or they've, tried to work it out on their own. Oftentimes, the couples that we see are at a point where they're, kind of not in a conflictual way, but just in a, I'm going to extend this grace to you. Let's do this in a respectful, open, transparent, collaborative process. Because they know that on the other side of it, they're going to be at their kid's wedding, or they might run into each other at, an industry function. And they were important to each other for such a long period of their life that they may as well, people are pretty good at digging down and kind of recalling those things and understanding, just because they're not, necessarily good partners for each other, it doesn't mean that they're both not good people.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love it. Like, I love the idea of mediation because it costs, I mean, I've got clients that they've lost everything because they're just wanting to fight. So to have an option, to have that third party, just to bounce ideas off, to see what the big picture is going to look like. I mean, to me, I think it's the way to go, but who am I to say? Because you never know what the situation is. I mean, it's case by case as to if a lawyer's better, or if a mediator's better or whatever. But for me, what I love about you guys is that, I mean, the stresses are high right now. So there's an opportunity for people, if they want to go down that path, or they think that that's what they need or want, that they've got an option just to come and talk to you, have a consult, to kind of get a general idea of what that big picture change would look like. Because it's one thing in my head, but it's another thing when you give me the numbers, you give me what an actual day would look like.
Yeah. And I think it is, just kind of working through things in practice, which people can kind of wrap their head around once they understand the details, because then it's not overwhelming thing. So it's really tackling piece by piece. Okay, and we always start with parenting, because I mean, that's something that both parties have in common. And it's really, the most important thing for them going forward, right? So talking about the parenting plan, then looking at asset division, then looking at spousal support. And it really is a global conversation. And kind of looking at, how can we maintain the family's best interest, even though they might be living in two homes now. So it's always looking at kind of the greater good for everybody. And we work quite closely with lawyers, with financial analysts, with accountants, with mortgage brokers, to do kind of referrals so that people can make the decision that is best for them, in terms of the process, right?
I know I had a question for you. So with COVID, people losing their jobs, all that kind of stuff, or, they're temporarily laid off. So that spousal support, that child support, is it still mandatory to be paid, or what does that,
Yeah. So if people have an existing order, and we get a lot of calls about this right now. So whether it's parenting plans, so custody access, support payments, the expectation, especially because courts are closed, is that you're going to continue to follow your current court order. So if you have a separation agreement that's been registered, or a divorce judgment, the expectation is that you're going to follow it. However, in any good agreement, any good separation agreement, it will always say that, child support, spousal support, they're reviewable, and generally around a change of circumstance, right? So somebody losing their job, is definitely something that is a consideration. And again, if people have mediated through it, it was their solution. So they're still invested in having a conversation. I mean, even myself, I've been divorced for 7 years. And when this started happening, my co-parent, emailed me and said, just so that my job is looking, super secure, probably not going to be, getting bonuses this year. But in terms of child support, I'm not going to have any difficulty. So it's having those proactive conversations. Even as co-parents, we met around what is this going to look like for the kids, and what are our expectations that we're going to maintain in our houses for exposure or social distancing? Are people going to be going to the office?
Right.
I think there's a lot more success. We always tell people, if you go to litigation, if you put your power in somebody else's hands and ask somebody who doesn't know your family and is going to hear your case for about 5 minutes to make a determination, you tend to always kind of swim in that pool. So whenever there's anything that comes up, that's sort of where you go to, because you've handed your power over, right?
Right.
But if you do something through like either collaborative lawyers or a mediated agreement, so sort of an alternative dispute resolution format, you've retained that power. And so you see that kind of knowledge base and the solutions as being within you. So when something comes up, it's just a conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
So you guys are you're also teaching them skills as to how to communicate effectively, so that later on, because there's always going to be problems, especially if or challenges. I shouldn't say problems. There's always going to be challenges because you got kids and they love to bring stuff up.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone is struggling, having those, like, you kind of, again, it put a fire under your butt to do it. Yeah, you can just contact Modern Divorce. They're on Instagram. They're on Facebook. Beth is a great resource. So with all that heavy talk that we just had, I know everybody, you've got your glass of wine with you and you're watching. Let's do some fun questions. So we're having a hoot doing these. So, okay, what's the last app that you downloaded on your phone? Or maybe your kids downloaded.
Yeah, I was going to say my kids would howl if they were within ear distance, because I am for sure, like, I'm a social worker, and for sure people connection is my strong suit. Technology is like, I'm a bit of a disaster. So this has been a kind of learning for me in terms of transitioning. So, like, I don't even know that I have any like apps on my phone. I have a Samsung, which makes me like super uncool. Both of my kids have iPhones, but yeah, so I don't even know, does it have apps? I'm not even sure.
That's too funny. Okay, we'll move on. Last local business that you ordered from. Any takeout food? Any?
Yeah, so we're pretty pumped. Like, we just moved in the summer. I'm in a blended family, and so we just decided to shove everybody into a house and change neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So we've been walking to Amato Gelato.
Oh, nice.
Yes, the dogs. We have 2 dogs that need to get walked every day. So that's been kind of a guilty pleasure for the kids, and kind of a big time waster, which is helpful as well.
Yeah.
So that has been a big one. And then we're hoping to there's like a food truck drive-through, and we've never been kind of coordinated to do it. So I think we're going to try and do that. It's like YYC food trucks.
Yeah.
And then kind of drive out, and everyone can pick what they want to do.
Cool.
So that
sounds awesome. Like a fun activity to do on the weekend.
Yeah.
Sweet. I'm going to have to look into that. Okay.
Yeah.
Your favorite COVID cocktail?
So I am definitely a wine drinker.
Yeah. Wine.
So that, yeah. You know what? I don't discriminate. I'm non-binary about any kind of alcohol. So first preference would be probably default would be red, but I'm not picky.
That's awesome. Okay. And so what do you miss the most about human contact? Because you are an extrovert. So
yeah, I think that has been a big adjustment for me, in that realizing how much of my battery gets charged by that face-to-face interaction.
Yeah.
So I just, I'm not, because I'm not a techie, I'm not, setting up FaceTime or doing kind of those workarounds. So I just miss that interaction, because I haven't pivoted to having the same, level of relationships and kind of richness about it. Like it just feels like you're kind of operating at 80%. And I think that's why. Yeah. So
yeah, I know I've got some girlfriends that are total extroverts, and they feel they're dying. I'm kind of scared for when they're allowed out, because there's going to be a lot of awkward, long hugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I love you all, but no. Okay. And so your blended family, how many kids are you homeschooling?
So we have 4 combined. So I have grade 8 and grade 10. And then my stepkids are grade 5 and grade 7.
Okay.
But I say I get to graciously sort of step out of the homeschooling role with them because they're in French immersion. So I'm like, I can be entirely useless.
Yeah.
For that. So I haven't had to kind of engage too much with that. So we're kind of on man-to-man or 1-on-2, I guess, defense for the homeschooling.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's busy.
Yeah, and I think everyone I talk to, my kids are in Spanish immersion. I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
Like it. So thanks so much for joining us today, Beth. I'm sure, again, if anyone's got any questions, feel free to reach out. Again, mental health, no one needs to do this alone. And yeah, we'll all get through this together one way or another. And yeah, again, thanks so much.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye.